When's the first time you realized America really messed you up? As an American living abroad or traveling abroad, I believe is the question. That is by the channel TikTok Reacts. That's the video we're going to be checking out today. And links down below for that. This is part 6 of a 6-part situation. So they usually talk about healthcare, culture shocks, basically, education. A lot of it's healthcare, really, or like when they go to the grocery store and they realize like you don't have to pay extra tax, it's already included, like basic stuff like that, or like violence. They don't have to worry about violence in Europe as much. Culture shocks, always good, always funny. Let's watch it. Thanks for watching with me, and like and subscribe.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
I got one. I moved to Italy about a month ago, and my roommate is from Spain, and we were talking about things to do outside since the weather was getting nicer, like rent bikes, take walks, and she said we should have a shooting. And I said, a what?
What?
She said, a shooting. Like, let's go have a shooting. I was like,
What is that? What do you mean?
and she was like, yeah, like, let's go get dressed up and take some cute pictures by, like, the canals or something.
Yep.
Pictures.
In the US, I could not let my 11-year-old son go outside and play by himself. Someone would call the cops or something would legitimately happen to him, and so there was no way.
Why? Why was somebody calling the cops on your kid? They got some Karens for neighbors, I guess.
Way. And when I moved to Germany, my husband, who's a German national, suggested that he go outside and play by himself because we would not have to worry.
I'm not living abroad anymore, but I was.
And that's it. It's just short, sweet, simple. That's it. All right, what's this lady saying?
We would not have to worry.
I'm not living abroad anymore, but I was from 2010 to 2011. I was living in Uppsala, Sweden, which is like about 45 minutes north of Stockholm.
Okay.
And this was before any major civil unrest was happening in the country or Trump or anything. This was like 10 years ago. I was out with friends and we started talking about how this Swedish girl happened to have cancer and how it's completely taken care of by their government. All of her health care, all of her bills are paid for. The odds are that she will definitely get over cancer. So I go.
I mean, I don't know that she'll, necessarily get over it. That's always, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. My grandpa passed away from cancer, so, they don't always make it. But hopefully this lady's grandma or whoever it was, hopefully that they made it. But anyways, it's included with taxes, I believe. It's not necessarily free. So, like, I think it's included with taxes. So, like, but I don't know how that works. If you don't pay taxes, like say you're unemployed or something, right? Do you not get the healthcare, or do you still get it paid by with the just collective taxes? I don't know.
I go up to my two friends, one from Australia, one from Canada, and I say, oh my God, you guys, did you hear? She has cancer and the government's completely taking care of all of her bills. Isn't that amazing? Like, oh my God. And then my friends replied, Sabrin, you realize that you are the weird ones. Americans are the only ones that don't have that program.
Yeah.
That was the first of many moments where I was embarrassed to be an American.
It's not current, but when I was studying in the
She said first of many moments. So there was more. It'd be fun to learn about the rest of them, right?
in the UK, one day I really needed to see a doctor, but I didn't know how to access care. I didn't know what my insurance situation was like, so I just went to work. And eventually I was in so much pain that I burst into tears and my boss pulled me aside. And he was like, what's up? And I was like, I really need to see a doctor, but I don't know how to access care here. I don't know if I can afford it. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Go down the street to the hospital. And I argued with him. And he was like, no, just trust me. Just go to the hospital. So I went and I was like clutching my like student ID in my hand, my passport. And I was like trying to remember how much I had in my bank account, like checking. And I got called back to the doctor. He was like, yep, this is what's wrong with you. Pick up your prescription on the way out. And I was like, I'm sorry, do you know how much it's going to be? And he said, I don't know, maybe 8 pounds. I was like, I'm sorry, 8? He was like, yeah, I don't think it's ever more than that. The receptionist kept laughing at me because I didn't feel comfortable leaving without paying somebody. And I kept asking and asking if I owed anybody any money.
So I don't live in Europe. I was visiting relatives.
But that's the thing. If they tell you you're good, I mean, I get it. You know, it's weird. It's awkward. Like, wait a minute, this isn't what I'm used to. But if they say you're good, you're good. You don't have to keep asking again, because then you just seem like you don't listen, especially if you're in another country. If you're in another country, then you already should know things are going to be strange and different than what you're used to. So if you've already been over it and they've already said, you're good, just take it at that and you're good, and chalk it up as just that's definitely one of those differences. You know what I mean?
relatives in the UK a couple of years ago, and my inhaler got destroyed. They convinced me to talk to the pharmacist first before seeing a doctor in case I didn't need to. And the pharmacist said, yes, of course, we can refill this for you. No problem. It's a life-saving medication. And I'm like, great. And the pharmacist says, I did want to warn you, though. I'm very sorry. The price has gone up. And I'm just thinking the worst. And he says, yes, I'm very sorry. It's going to be £8.80. I said, £8.80. And he said, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the tax thing. So it must just be for everybody then, because this is for somebody's visiting somebody in the UK and everything, and it still applies to them. So, yeah.
Said, yeah, it's going to be £8.80. I'm really sorry. The prices just keep going up. And that is when I realized that the U.S. health insurance system is well and truly because that £8.80 prescription in the UK with really good health insurance costs me $50 per inhaler in the United States for a medication I need to literally live.
Yeah, it's sad.
So, yeah.
I don't understand it. It's just, and sometimes it's like the medicine's made here in the United States and they'll charge like an insane amount of money. But like in another country, it's cheaper, even though it's made here. Like, it's just crazy. Like, they just jack up the prices.
Buckle up, kids. This one's gonna hurt. So I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian.
Going through all of his old paperwork today, and he showed me a bill from the hospital when he cut his hand open pretty badly and had to get stitches. It cost €4, which is the equivalent of $4.50.
I am back for round 2 on this
I bet he makes good pizza too. He's Italian, and some good pasta.
one. So I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian. We're watching a movie the other day where somebody is running away and they get shot. And I'm like, you know what? That's their fault. They didn't run in a zigzag. That's like the first thing they teach you, to run in a zigzag if somebody's pointing a gun at you. He pauses the movie and he looks at me and he goes, who taught you that? And I'm like, like teachers, adults, parents, like they teach you when you're young to run in a zigzag if somebody is pointing a gun at you. The sinking feeling I had when I realized that nobody ever had to teach him that when he was young.
Yeah.
Because that's not a problem here.
So another thing that I think about a lot is I have German friends, Dutch friends, Polish friends, and they all went on class trips to concentration camps when they were like 8 years old. Whereas in the US, I never learned anything about the Native Americans, like what really happened, until I took a Native American studies class in college. They are sitting there learning about, and they like use the word genocide. They tell them we committed genocide against the Jews here in Europe. And in the US, they're like, natives helped us move onto their land and they just kind of moved away so we could settle. And they don't teach us anything about the Dawes Act. They don't teach us anything about the Stolen Sisters. They don't teach us anything about how Columbus wiped out an entire island in the Caribbean. And like, they don't teach us about the smallpox blankets and the cholera and everything at all.
So I'm from Chicago.
Yeah, he's got a point. Like, the United States basically, wiped out an entire, stole land and wiped out an entire, culture and civilization, bunch of civilizations of people here. Like, it's very tragic, and the way that they do bury it, like he's saying, is just, it's just unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate.
Chicago, and I moved to Denmark when I was 14, and I've been in public school ever since I moved here. And I remember this one time I was with my friends, and this was probably the first 6 months of my first year at school here. And I was just like, we haven't had an intruder drill yet. Like, when are we going to have one of those? And they were just like, what is an intruder drill? What is that? And I had to explain, it's like you're practicing in case someone comes in the school to come shoot or something. And they're just like, we do not do that here. There is no threat of people coming to kill us. And then I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to be scared for my life at school in this country. Forgot about that.
I was living abroad in the UK and I had a job interview. And of course, growing up in the US, you're conditioned to dress so professional, be prepared, have your resume, and all these things. So I was like that really much. And I remember walking into the interview and they were like, "Oh, well, you look really snazzy." And I was like, okay, that first of all, I've never heard that before at an interview. Then the secondly, they didn't even ask me anything besides, "Hey, Kyle, would you like a cup of tea?" And I was like, okay. Never was asked that before ever in any other job interviews. We had a tea and we literally like sat and talked about all sorts of stuff, personal life, their life, and we just had a laugh for like 45 minutes.
Nice.
And right afterwards they're like, "You're perfect for the job. You fit great." And it was really crazy to me and it was a really fun experience. I wish the US would just chill out sometimes a little bit more.
You know, the thing with that is like most jobs is like what he said. You know, here you go in and it's just in an office setting. Everything's cold. There's nothing, you know, not cold temperature wise, but like just the interaction, right? Just go in, interview, straight to the point, out the door, right? No offering of coffee, no. You know, sometimes the person would be nice, you know, and you kind of have a little bit of a laugh here and there and a little bit of a chit chat for a couple minutes. But then it's just back to business of the job interview. And but it's not like that everywhere. I would say that's mostly factories and stuff because I've done construction jobs in the past and or drywall jobs and stuff and it would be like what he's saying, you know. You just go and hang out with the person, talk to him for a few, get to know him, kind of laugh, chuckle, drink some coffee, whatever, and you know. So I would just it just depends on the workforce, the industry or type of work, I guess.
A little bit more.
All right, so when I lived in France, I went to a cafe with my friend, and outside the cafe, there were a whole bunch of baby strollers with human babies inside of the strollers, and I was super freaked out, and I asked my friend, why would
They do that in Sweden too
anybody leave their babies outside unattended in their strollers? Aren't
because
you
it's
afraid of
safe.
something happening to them? And my friend looked at me and said, why would you assume that anything would happen to a baby? Who would be so horrible to do something to a baby?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's true. Like, who would be that horrible? But unfortunately, in this country of the United States, there are those people. So being from this country, knowing all that stuff, having the fear crammed down your throat too, I understand her viewpoint, but also it's like it shouldn't be like that. It should be like it is in Europe. It should be safe enough to have your child out in the stroller taking a nap while you're running into the store. There should be no reason to have a problem with that.
I live in Warsaw, Poland now, but I always stay in touch with what's happening in the US, and I happened to hear about that Las Vegas shooting when someone opened fire on a bunch of concert goers. And it was very tragic news, but that day I also went to the movies, so I was already in a kind of weird mental state. And when I left the movies, I got on the tram again in Warsaw, and I saw this guy kind of being sketchy and acting weird in the last seat. I kept eyeing him the whole time, and he had his jacket open, and he was holding something inside. He was hiding it. And I thought, my first American thought was, it's a gun or a knife or some kind of weapon, and I need to move away as soon as possible. So I kept looking at him the whole ride, and then he takes it out, and it was a beer can. He was sipping it and hiding it during the tram ride. That's what happens in Poland. Not guns, not knives. And I started crying and laughing at the same time because that's when I realized, wow, that's messed up.
Crying and laughing at the same time, though, that might be a little psychotic or something. I don't know.
I duetted this TikTok about a year ago, and I still stand by the fact that, like, we're significantly dumber in the States. School's a lot different here, but they learn so much more about life and things around us than we ever did. But another thing that I've noticed is people are so dependent in the States, especially, like, parents, I think, are more dependent and, like, feel the need to be in their child's lives more. Here, I'm sure they're great parents. I mean, 90% of the kids are super good, but, like, fourth graders are getting on the tram in the morning. Their parents are kissing them bye, saying peace out. Not the school bus, the tram. And you know what? At night, they get back on the tram and they figure out their way home. Like, the parents are not as, like, involved in the kids' lives, and they're so independent. But even, like, at home in the States, even me, who's almost 20 years old, like, I'm still dependent on my mom.
Okay, so I moved to...
That's funny. I love my son. I love being involved in his life. He's 5 though. You know, we walk him out to the front of the to the end of the drive at the front yard to meet the school bus and everything, and give him a hug before he goes on the bus. I'm rambling. I'm gonna go back to the video, but
to Sweden. And when I got here, I wasn't feeling too well, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor recommended that I get an EKG, an electrocardiogram. Now, instead of worrying about my health, my first reaction was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can get one of those because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it.
yeah.
And this sweet little man, this sweet, amazing doctor goes, did you not pay the like $20 when you got here? I ended up getting a regular EKG, a 24-hour long EKG, a blood test, and a freaking checkup for $20. Best part of this entire situation is that I am getting better and I am getting the medical attention I need without going broke.
So speaking of that, not making it up, I've been having chest pains. I mean, people have weird issues and stuff, and it's like I don't have insurance. You know, it's like during the video, even a few different times, having some weird chest pains, and it's just kind of like it makes you worry. Makes you worry. I'm gonna go take a couple aspirin, get some more coffee because I'm super thirsty. But yeah, it just sucks that the health thing. That's usually like the biggest thing, the main thing. It seems is the health. The healthcare differences between the United States and the rest of the world or whatever. But anyways, do me a super huge favor, guys. Hit like on this video. YouTube's being weird lately. People's videos aren't getting viewed right or as much as it should be and everything. It's like a whole weird thing that's going on. But anyways, just do me a favor, hit like. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Have a super fun, awesome day. And I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.